Welcome to, I guess, a follow-up to that Brave Heroes tier list I did about a month ago. I'm DTM, and yeah, since then, we've gotten our CYL 5 units and the CYL 3 refines, and I thought it would be fun to revisit this tier list and see where the new heroes and the new refines rank. And so yeah, this is just for fun and it is my opinion. I'm basing this off of how well they perform versus other options. And so yeah, once again, this is just my opinion, and obviously it's only been like a month that we've had these heroes, so who knows, maybe in like 2 months or so, something could radically be different. But I'm basing this off of my initial 1 month impressions right now. So if you have any other thoughts about this tier list, feel free to leave them in the comment. Make sure to like, subscribe, hit the bell, all that jazz to help support the channel. I'm almost at 200 subscribers, and I would really definitely appreciate you all supporting me. I'm so grateful to everyone. And yeah, let's get into it, starting off with Gatekeeper. So yeah, Gatekeeper, the unit that definitely attracted the most attention during the voting stage. When he got released, I think a lot of people felt that he was super niche, and I do think he's right now very under the radar and very niche. Definitely the most niche of CYL 5 so far. But I do think, at least for AR defense, he can be very effective. I have ran into some Gatekeeper teams that were very unoptimized, and he still restricted a lot of my options. And more importantly, prevented me from getting the pots, which is the most important thing. And it's not even just about blocking WOM, but more about obstruct and not being able to reach like certain units or the pots or something like that. And I feel like right now, it's kind of like how Harmonized Katria was initially dismissed as being too hard to build around, but now Katria's everywhere. Gatekeeper is definitely harder to implement though, and so for now I do think he is kind of on the good but not great side, because his main weakness is that he lacks any follow-up skills, whether that is guaranteed follow-up or negating enemies follow-up, and doesn't really have that much killing power or provide really any threat. And in ARD, you can't just like stall, you have to kill the offense. And while Gatekeeper is very bulky, he doesn't have that much offensive pressure. And so I think you would need like save skills or Katria to make him effective in ARD, and I don't think people have figured him out just yet though. But I do think if he is figured out, he'll be very potent, and honestly could move up to like A, honestly. Like, I do feel that he has a lot of potential that we haven't seen yet. But for now, he'll be B, high end of B, maybe low end of A, but definitely at least high end of B, because, again, his Obstruct 4 is very good at limiting the amount of options the offense has. So yeah, that's where I would put Gatekeeper for now. But speaking of niches, we have Brave Marianne. And honestly, when Brave Marianne first got released, she got a bad rap for whatever reason. Like, I don't agree with that at all, because she is stupid good. Like, I've used her a lot. As you can see with my 11 actions Brave Marianne clears in AR. The playlist is in the description, by the way, in case you want to see that. But I genuinely believe that she is the best CYL 5 unit. Like, at least at a high level, she is the best. Brave Eirika comes close, but, we'll get to Brave Eirika. Don't want to spoil things too much. But the thing is, the amount of flexibility and consistency she provides is actually insane. And it's really something you can only realize or appreciate once you actually use her in a Gale Force team. like, using her, I don't even need to calc things out when doing Gale Force plays with her. No attack checks, no, I can even gamble traps and stuff, because I know that if I mess up, or that I make a mistake, or that I gambled wrong, Brave Marianne can easily allow me to recover from that, thanks to her utility. And trust me, I've made plenty of mistakes when using her. Again, playlist in the description. The thing that makes her so good is that she effectively trades up from 1 action to 2. And the only other units that can really do that and dance effectively is either Dual Peony or Harmonized Dorothea, which are affected by dual hindrances, and a Gale Force Dancer, which is way less consistent. It's sort of like the Pot of Greed card from Yu-Gi-Oh! Where, you know, the reason why it's banned is because you're getting like 2 from 1, which is like super overpowered. Like, the only units that beat 2 to 1 is Legendary and Fallen Edelgard, which gets 3 to 1, but they're not dancers. And I've actually used Marianne with Legendary and Fallen Edelgard for that 11 actions team, which is honestly super ridiculous, but it is so good. Again, playlist is in the description, and I highly recommend you check it out, because I've had such a blast, and those are probably the best clears I've ever made. But yeah, anyways, onto Marianne herself. Getting that special to proc is super easy, and the gravity restriction doesn't actually do anything, and is such a non-issue. You have to remember that Gale Force plays generally are very, like, in close quarters, and Wings of Mercy isn't affected by the gravity restriction. And it's such a non-issue that it might as well not exist. And again, just the being able to attack and at the same time dance is so much flexible, so much utility, so much leniency and consistency, it's really bonkers. And yeah, she's easily S tier in my opinion. Probably better than Lucina and Edelgard at this point, because again, Steady Breath Seal and being green is kind of iffy right now. But yeah, definitely between these two. And just as a reference, I'm not going to move CYL 1, 2, or 4, because otherwise this video would take too long. I'll get to that next August when I do my retrospective again. But yeah, moving on to a not so unique unit. We have Marth, good old Marth, good old Red Sword Infantry Marth. This is like the 4th Red Sword Infantry Marth that we've had, and definitely sleeper in terms of unit design and creativity. And honestly, I feel like out of all the CYL 5 units, by far, Marth is the unit I've seen the least. And like, I've seen Brave Eirika literally everywhere, Brave Marianne, I see a lot of cool Gale Force plays, and I've even seen a lot of Gatekeepers on defense, but Marth is just like missing in action somehow. I don't think I've seen a single Marth in my replays in the vault. And like, he's really good, great even, but the thing is he's not really anything special. Infantry Spurn tanks are kind of in a rough spot right now because save armors are generally better options than Infantry Sword. And this meta is not really kind to tanks right now anyways, because this is definitely a player phase meta, at least on offense. I think that Joel from Theology, I remember him very much wanting to use Brave Marth to showcase him off, but I don't think he has actually done it yet due to the defense meta. He does have something that sets him apart though, which is his Vantage effect. Other than that, he's basically a Gen 6 version of Merida, but with the Vantage, I think you can do like a special spiral build on him and make him essentially a 2021 Kronya. But that relies on him being within 2 spaces of an ally for that Vantage effect, which for Vantage tanks is actually pretty restrictive. For normal tanks, I'd say it wouldn't, because you'd want like either Flame or Lucina within 2 spaces, but for Vantage tanks, it definitely is, since you can't just smite him in, take a unit out, like the Hardy Bearing unit, and then just have him Vantage everything. So, Honestly, I'm really disappointed that Marth is another Red Sword Infantry in a myriad of Red Sword Infantries. I think for most matches where you can actually use Marth safely, like, the other Red Sword Infantries could do just as well and be completely serviceable. Like, maybe even like Mass Marth, Crom, or Seliph maybe? I mean, obviously they're not going to be as good as Marth, but unfortunately, Brave Marth's in a tough spot. Still very good though, which is why I'm going to put him on the high end of B. And honestly, if he plans out, maybe on the low end of A, but yeah. Just another Red Sword Infantry Marth. We have 4 of them now. Hooray. Anyways, let's talk about Brave Eirika, the last of the CYL 5 units. In my opinion, Brave Eirika is by far the best Lance Cavalry right now, and definitely second best CYL unit, in CYL 5 unit, my apologies. Very close to Marianne. She's definitely the generalist of the batch, and can excel in a lot of things, from hit and run to gale force. And Moonlight Bangle having Null Guard, Canto, and the additional Luna-like effect is kind of ridiculous. And then her weapon having damage reduction and half of no follow-up is just a cherry on top. She is a monster, being able to go in, take out a unit, and then go out. Or she can gale force thanks to that slaying effect in her weapon and Null Guard. And then Canto also helps trap the units as well. Once you proc the gale force and then attack another unit, you can then position yourself to trap Ranged Dancer, for example. That is very good. I use her in Light Season, even though she's mostly a repo bot, thanks to the Canto, but still, she just deletes very tough opponents in matches and shreds through the opponent, especially with Safety Fence. Like, if you ever use Reagan with Safety Fence, Eirika is basically the same, except having a lot more killing power in exchange to less Canto. But I still say that she is definitely good, and definitely S tier. Not as good as Brave Marianne, I think, but very close. And honestly, there's not that much to say, because I think everyone knows how good she is. So yeah, that's all of the CYL 5 units out of the way. Let's move on to the CYL 3 units, starting from Alm. And yeah, as you can see, before his refine, I placed him as probably the worst CYL unit overall in this D tier. And I mentioned that I really hoped that Alm would get an amazing refine, and boy did IS actually deliver. Like, actually went from 0 to hero. With his refine and Shen scale, he is just amazing on AR defense. He is the answer to save balls and just cuts through them. With the damage reduction, basically like, I mean, not the damage reduction, but the true damage, basically always doubling thanks to having half of NFU and Wind Sweep. He will almost always get 2 hits with that true damage, and this is assuming he otherwise does 0 damage without the true damage. He either deletes save armors or leaves them in a state where others can pick them off. It is actually so amazing how good IS has made them. I'm so happy that he was done justice. And if you have Brave Alm and are not using him on defense, you either have Legendary Sigurd, which, you know, is fair, or you're definitely missing out on Brave Alm's amazingness. And having Cav movement is just a cherry on top and makes him super potent on AR defense. The ability to delete save balls in AR defense is super important right now. And even then, he doesn't just delete save balls, he deletes like a lot of units. Definitely S tier, I would say. Not Vector's level by any means, but like, I'd say still very respectable in S. Probably not as good as Eirika or Marianne, but, you know, still S tier, which, considering he was literally in D tier, yeah, literally 0 to hero. You love to see it. You love to see it. Alright, so next we have Brave Micaiah, and her refine was pretty straightforward. She gets more stats, an easier condition, and a guaranteed follow-up attack. Previously, I'd say she did her job well, but now she just does it better. And guaranteed follow-up is very good, and honestly might be all she needed with those extra stats. She is amazing in Arena, scoring 185 BST, with G-Dual flying, having flyer mobility with guidance, and can even heal, which is really huge in Arena where you don't generally have good healing options. In AR offense though, green is kind of in a tough color to be right now, and honestly I think her OG version is a better option for most cases, but she's still pretty effective. On ARD, unfortunately she struggles with Brave Hector, ironically, so I don't think she's that good there either, and it's definitely not as good as say Alm Refine, so I do think she has to be in B, maybe after Brave Marth, but like still very good. And honestly, I haven't used her in Arena, so maybe she's actually A tier for that, but I just don't have experience with her. But I can see how she could be super good. Again, because of healing, flyer mobility, 185 BST, and obviously cav and armor effectiveness is very important right now in Arena, but don't have much experience between that. Let me know in the comments if I should have moved her up to A or if B is fine. But yeah, right now I'm just going to put her here. So yeah, next up we have Eliwood, and for his Refine, he got half of no follow-up and Spurn. So he's a very good mixed tank right now. Before his Refine, he really didn't have a place. Like yeah, Dragon and Beast effectiveness is nice I guess, but it didn't really matter. With this Refine though, he can definitely stand on his own and do hit and run similar to Eirika if you inherit the Kanto skill to him. Obviously his is going to be based off of remaining movement instead of Eirika's guaranteed 2 movement for the Kanto, so it's not as consistent, but still respectable. Unfortunately being a cav means that he doesn't really have the bulk needed to tank, even with the damage reduction. And honestly, I don't think you would really want him to be a tank anyways, since we are in a player-phase meta. And unfortunately, in more player-phase strategies, he faces competition from Eirika, and the thing that he has that Eirika doesn't is Dragon and Beast effectiveness, and that just, again, doesn't really matter, whether it's on ARO, ARD, or even Arena. The only really relevant threat for, like, Dragon or Beast effectiveness is Fallen Edelgard. And well, if Fallen Edelgard is in AR defense, there is something wrong with that defense, because Fallen Edelgard, while annoying, is actually just a meme on defense. Trust me, I tried to use her, actual trash unit there. And even then, like Brave Eirika could easily handle Fallen Edelgard too. And then for offense, for Fallen Edelgard, that Fallen Edelgard should be Gale Forcing, so he would basically just get taken out by her before Eliwood gets to do anything. Trust me, I've used Fallen Edelgard, and I've easily taken out Eliwood's. So I feel honestly, right now, there's still not much of a place for him, even in places where he does work. I feel Brave Eirika does it better, but he's obviously still very good. But yeah, kind of overshadowed in my opinion, so I'd say he's in a B tier. Next to Brave Micaiah, and next to Brave Marth and Gatekeeper. Which, you know, is still pretty good. I mean, don't get me wrong, all these are still very good units. It's just, when you're ranking the cream of the crop, you have to make differentiations somehow, right? So yeah, anyways, on to the last unit, we have Camilla, probably one of the better aging CYL 3 units, and her Refine is fairly straightforward, but in my opinion, extremely effective. Her having a preference staff, and being a very offensive staff unit, made her very potent. We did get 12 Nana, or Scion Nana if you're not cool, but what makes Camilla unique and amazing is the gravity effect. With the safety fence meta, gravity hit and run is super powerful, as you can see with Legendary Claude, and she's basically a staff version of Legendary Claude, albeit with less power, but in turn can be used in every season and has Dazzling. Brave Camilla can be used in the same way, and it's very strong, and her Refine makes her able to do that even better. The debuffs in the Refine effect definitely helped her out and weakens the unit she hits, and of course a +6 to attack and speed just gives her more punch. While more on the tame side, it allows Camilla to be very strong in what she's good at, and again, Gravity Hit and Run is just very good. If she had Kanto, I'd immediately put her in S, but unfortunately it doesn't, so I think she's just A, but then again, she is still very strong, like, very strong, and because of Safety Fence, and because of the Gravity Hit and Run effect, that strategy nets a lot of success. But yeah, that is all the units that need to be re-ranked, so to guess, thanks to being introduced or having refined. Again, I haven't changed any of the rankings for the other units, because otherwise this video would last too long, and honestly, I'd still say the placements are roughly the same, pretty much the same, and I'll re-rank them next August in preparation for CYL 6. So yeah, let me know what you think of my ranking. Do you agree with some of them? Do you disagree with some of them? Again, I rank this list out of how well they perform versus other options. And so, yeah. This is a game with limited resources, so we have to prioritize somewhat. And so this is how I base my list. And overall, I hope you all enjoyed this video. Again, if you like the content, be sure to like, subscribe, hit the bell, all that jazz to help support the channel. Again, we're so close to 200 subscribers. It would really mean the world if we can reach that this month. And I'm so grateful to all the support I've received. And yeah, thank you all so much for watching. Leave a comment on what your ranking is, and see y'all next time.